Our troops, our American warriors, deserve the credit for this day. But God deserves all the glory. Tens of thousands of sorties, refuelings, and strikes carried out under the protection of divine providence. A massive effort with miraculous protection.
It's over before Iran even knew it started. In less than 60 minutes, America's most elite maritime operators seized an Iranian oil platform in the middle of the Strait of Hormuz, the most strategically critical waterway on the planet. The platform is secured, the intelligence is in American hands, and Iran's floating command fortress is now flying the stars and stripes. But before we get into exactly how this happened, you need to understand why this platform mattered so much. The Strait of Hormuz is a 21-mile-wide chokepoint separating the Persian Gulf from the open ocean. Nearly 20% of the world's entire oil supply passes through it every single day. 17 million barrels. Every hour that shipping lanes are disrupted, energy markets feel it globally. Iran knew this. That's why they didn't just operate on this platform, they weaponized it. It became a forward command post for the IRGC, directing drone swarms at commercial tankers, coordinating fast attack boat harassment operations, and quietly laying naval mines in international shipping lanes. This wasn't an oil platform anymore. It was a floating warship disguised as infrastructure. Here's the operation timeline. Broken down. Shortly after midnight, DEVGRU Red Squadron operators received final mission confirmation at a secure staging area in the northern Arabian Gulf. They were aboard a forward-deployed amphibious ship. Blacked out, engines quiet, running dark. The target, a multi-deck Iranian oil platform converted into a forward IRGC command node. Drone launch rails on the port side. An armed helipad on the upper deck. Speedboats tethered below the waterline at underwater pontoons. The assault plan divided into 3 synchronized elements. Red team, helipad and command module. Blue team, lower production decks and drone bays. Gold team, engineering spaces and high-value personnel capture. Timing was everything. The approach window was based on radar blind spots in the platform's sensor coverage, a gap of less than 11 minutes. Miss that window, the mission aborts. They didn't miss it. 2 MH-47G Chinook helicopters from the 160th SOAR lifted off nap of the sea, skimming the water to avoid radar detection. Simultaneously, CCA assault boats and RHIBs cut silently across the Gulf using muffled engines. Overhead, 2 F-35B Lightning IIs from a nearby carrier provided invisible sensor overwatch, feeding live platform data to the assault teams without a single radio transmission breaking the silence. At the platform, operators scaled the support legs using motorized climbing rigs and carbon fiber ladders while fast rope teams dropped from hovering Chinooks onto the upper deck. Within 90 seconds, 3 deck levels breached simultaneously. No alarm, no shots fired, not yet. Let's talk about who just pulled this off. Because DEVGRU is not a standard special operations unit. They are the top tier of the top tier. Formerly known as the Naval Special Warfare Development Group, unofficially called SEAL Team 6, DEVGRU operators go through a selection process so brutal that most candidates who make it through Bud S and earn their Trident don't even qualify to attempt it. The average DEVGRU operator has over a decade of combat deployments before ever setting foot inside the command. They specialize in what the military calls Tier 1 direct action, the missions that don't appear in press releases. Hostage rescue, high-value target capture, counter-proliferation, and maritime assault, which is exactly what this platform required. For this mission, their equipment loadout was purpose-built for silent, precise, close-quarters combat at sea. Rebreather systems for silent underwater approach phases, Mk-18 rifles and MP-7 submachine guns fitted with suppressors and subsonic ammunition, SR-25 sniper rifles with night vision optics for maritime overwatch, hydraulic door openers and low signature-shaped charges for breaching, advanced hemostatic agents, and portable blood transfusion kits, because they plan for casualties even when they don't expect them. This is a unit that trains more hours annually for maritime assault than most military forces deploy in a decade. Taking a multi-deck offshore platform in the dark against armed IRGC personnel in the middle of active shipping lanes. For DEVGRU, that is a planned operation, not a gamble. But here's what Iran did not expect. They believed this platform was untouchable. And that belief wasn't irrational. The platform sat inside some of the busiest commercial shipping lanes in the world. Any conventional military strike risked triggering an international incident, damaging allied tankers, or spiking oil prices instantly. Iran was counting on that calculus to protect them. They counted wrong. The IRGC had stationed armed watch officers in the command module around the clock. They had armed fast attack boats tethered below the waterline, ready to deploy within minutes. They had drone technicians on standby, and they had an IRGC commander on site overseeing operations. On paper, the platform looked defended. In practice, none of it mattered against a force that breached 3 deck levels before a single alarm could sound. Red Team overwhelmed the command module with flashbangs and suppressed fire, neutralizing watch officers and cutting communications before a distress signal could reach the Iranian mainland. Gold Team located and detained the IRGC commander in the engineering spaces. Snipers on the upper crane eliminated 2 armed fast boats attempting to flee the pontoons, clean subsonic shots in total darkness. The whole assault phase, under 45 minutes. This operation wasn't just about one platform. The strategic message it sends reaches well beyond Tehran. For Iran, it proves that no asset in the strait, no matter how well positioned, no matter how surrounded by commercial traffic, is protected from American precision action. For Gulf allies like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Bahrain, it's a direct signal that the U.S. carrier group presence in the region is not symbolic. It is operational. For China, which depends heavily on Gulf oil imports flowing through Hormuz, the message is equally clear. The U.S. controls the corridor, and it intends to keep it open. And the intelligence seized from the platform's hardened servers, encrypted communication devices, drone control laptops, mine-laying manifests, that material will reshape the U.S. picture of Iran's remaining maritime strategy for months. Within hours of the seizure, the practical impact was undeniable. Iranian fast attack boat activity near the platform dropped sharply. Drone launches from coastal sites decreased, and the first convoy of international oil tankers that had been holding position for days finally began moving again through the newly secured shipping corridor. Now the question every analyst in the region is asking: what does Iran do next? Let's separate what they can do from what they will do, because those are very different things. Iran can launch ballistic missile strikes at U.S. naval assets. They have the Shahab 3 and the Fateh 110. They can activate Hezbollah and proxy networks in Iraq, Syria, and Yemen to escalate on multiple fronts simultaneously. They can attempt to close the strait with a naval mine campaign or fast attack boat swarms, a tactic they've rehearsed publicly for years. They can target Gulf state energy infrastructure, Saudi Aramco facilities, UAE refineries. But here's the constraint. Every one of those escalation options carries catastrophic risk for the Iranian regime itself. A direct strike on U.S. assets triggers immediate, overwhelming American retaliation against Iranian military infrastructure. Strikes Iran cannot absorb without severe domestic consequence. Closing the strait hurts Iran's own remaining oil export revenue, and activating all proxies simultaneously risks widening a conflict Iran's conventional forces are not positioned to sustain. So what they will likely do is more calculated. A combination of information warfare, denying the operation happened or framing it as illegal, combined with low-level proxy harassment designed to signal resistance without crossing the threshold that triggers direct retaliation. 3 scenarios. Here's how each plays out. Scenario 1. De-escalation. Iran accepts the loss diplomatically and quietly, avoids direct confrontation, and signals through back channels that it seeks no further escalation. Probability moderate. Iran loses face domestically, but preserves its military infrastructure and avoids a wider war. Global oil markets stabilize within 72 hours. Scenario 2. Proxy response. Iran activates militia networks in Iraq or Yemen for indirect harassment operations. Drone strikes on Gulf state facilities, limited attacks on U.S. logistics positions. Probability: high. This allows Iran to signal resistance without directly engaging U.S. forces. Oil markets see a short-term spike of 5 to 10%, then stabilize if escalation stays contained. Scenario 3. Direct retaliation. Iran launches a direct strike on U.S. naval or Gulf state assets, accepting the risk of full American military response. Probability: low, but non-zero. This scenario carries the highest risk of a regional war with severe global economic consequences. Oil price impact: immediate 20% plus spike, sustained disruption to global supply chains. Here's the bottom line. DEVGRU executed a near-perfect maritime direct action mission against a hardened IRGC position inside one of the world's most watched waterways. The platform is secured, the intelligence is extracted, the shipping lane is open, and Iran now faces a set of response options, none of which are good for them. The Strait of Hormuz is not closed, and the professionals who ensured that struck without warning, seized without hesitation, and left before sunrise. If you want the full breakdown of U.S. Special Operations capabilities in the Gulf and what comes next in this standoff, subscribe. New analysis drops every week.